So you're listening to episode 72. This is the Stages of Growth, part 1, the veg cycle. That was a good podcast. How long was that? An hour and 15. Last week's was an hour and 15 as well. We're getting a bit carried away, aren't we? But we hope that you're enjoying it. Talk about plenty. We're joined with Jay from SANlight. Talked about the MCBT bike tour. Talked about SolarTech. Talked about some new technologies. But most of the podcast is on the vegetative stages of growth. So have a good weekend. Enjoy the podcast, and we'll be back next week with part 2, the flowering cycle. Enjoy. Hello listeners, you're listening to episode 72, and we are talking about the stages of growth, part 1. On vegetation.
With myself, Thomas.
Myself, Stephen. And
Jay from Highlight Horticulture.
Welcome, Jay.
Thanks very much for having me.
It's always good to have you on the podcast. Last time you were here, you were ripping me.
Well, you know,
Christmas edition.
Like to keep you on your toes, Stephen,
You
being
do.
a scientist among us.
You do indeed. Now, stages of growth, part 1. Next week's episode is going to be on the flowering. So if you're in the vegetative stage or you're about to start something, listen up, because we're going to go through quite a few little subjects here. We actually talked about it on episode 3, the third episode that we'd ever done, but the equipment's a lot better now. More technologies come out, more products are out. Our knowledge has improved over the last... It's been 2 years since that podcast.
And probably nobody listened to episode 3 because it was at the beginning, so we'll have another crack at the whip at episode 72.
Let's go again. Right, so vegetative growing, alright? Seedlings, we'll start with seedlings. Now, the horticultural community call it chitting. That's how the, no, C-H-I-T-T-I-N-G.
Okay.
Not the other type of chitting that people do when they've had a hot curry.
Well, I think they call that for one version of what we're going to talk about.
Correct,
Yeah.
One version. Would you like to talk, because that's,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, is it your favourite version?
Yeah, chitting.
Or as we call it, popping.
Yeah, basically seedlings, small seeds. So the other day we had, what were they, garden pea? What were they, runner beet? They were the floral display ones, the not edible ones. That
Sweet pea.
Sweet pea, that's it. The ones with all the white and some of the leaves orange as well. The ones that we done last year on the allotment.
Came
Well,
out
anyway,
with those colours.
these sweet peas, I demonstrated to the lads in the shop. I got a Tupperware box, one you put your sandwiches in. I then got some sheets of kitchen roll and lined the base of the Tupperware tub, and I placed in, I think I put 10 or 12 of these sweet pea seeds, and then I covered them with another piece of kitchen paper so they were nice snug, like they were in a little blanket, snug as a bug. Then what I've done is I got a jug of lukewarmish water, not cold, and then I got I didn't just pour it in, I got my hands and I sort of like flicked it.
Yeah.
I kept in a flicking motion
Didn't
with all of my
squeeze
hands.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't squeeze it. And I flicked it all over the tissue until all of the tissue becomes sodden, quite wet.
Yeah.
But I didn't allow any pools of water. So at no point in time was any of these seeds sitting in a pool of water. They were just damp from the submerged tissue. Then I put some small holes in the Tupperware lid and closed the lid on the box.
Yeah.
Then I get a towel, not a very big towel, medium-sized towel, and then I begin to wrap up the box with the towel. I then get that and I'll store it in a fairly warmish place, around about 20, 21 degrees.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it there for 2 days. I won't look at it and I won't touch it and I won't mess with it. After 2 days, I'll go back. I'll then unwrap the towel, remove the lid, and then slowly, with anticipation,
And a backing track.
I'll peel back the top layer of the blanket that we've made from the kitchen roll, and lo and behold, most of the time we will see the seeds have popped, and you will see bright white tails trying to worm their way through the kitchen roll. So then all you simply have to do is be very, very gentle, and I mean very gentle, pick them up and then place them in your media, your soil, your cocoa, your system, or whatever you're going to do. Yeah, and there you go. And that is chitting
Okay. Safety notice: don't put your sandwiches in at the same time as you put your seeds in. What would you have doing a bit of Brummy there? What would you have your humidity at during the vegetative stage of chitting?
Well, to be honest, I think because they're in the Tupperware tub and that acts as like a propagator sort of thing, so it enhances the humidity. And with a room temperature of 21 degrees, I'll expect the humidity to be in there at probably about 80%.
Yeah, 80-90%.
Yeah, 80-90%, because it's quite steamed up. It's in a small, confined, little tiny tub, and it's very
quite
fast.
warm as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
you also need to be careful that they don't rot on you and stuff like that. That's why you can't put too much water in.
Yeah.
Put too much water, they'll just go to mush.
Yeah, and then the stem pops out. It can still pop, but there's a specific type of fungus that attacks the stem.
Yeah.
And you'll find that your stems just drop off.
That's the chitting. There's other forms of popping seedlings, i.e. just placing them into rockles, pots of soil, pots of cocoa.
Jiffies.
Some people do actually put them in a glass, I think, for a couple of days, or freeze them, or...
So yeah, we did with our sunflowers from last year. We had the really big sunflowers from Russia, giant sunflowers.
They were massive, them.
Huge, weren't they?
Yeah.
What about the ones on the allotment?
16 foot, they were.
Huge, weren't they? They were
16 foot sunflowers with heads on them the size of dustbin lids.
Yeah, we did well, didn't we?
Yeah.
We saved the seed from at the end of last summer from those sunflower seeds. Dried them out. Very important to dry them out thoroughly. Put them into a fridge in a dark plastic bag. Left them all here, ready for this time of year to pop them again. Pop the seeds and they're ready to go out and to be planted again. So that's a good way to save seeds and save money as well.
How did you do them ones?
With the sunflowers. So on the head of the sunflower, as it starts to die off at the beginning of autumn, the seeds become easily lodged from the sunflower head. So we just pick them off, put them into dry paper towel in the office in the temperature about 20-21 degrees. I kept them in the dark as well, so that the light didn't spoil them. I didn't know if light does spoil them, but just to be safe. When they were thoroughly dried and gone light in weight, put them into our fridge in a black plastic bag. Then just check them over the next few weeks, make sure that there wasn't any mould or any rot. Any rot was beginning to start within the bag. When that was all safe, just left them to be.
Have you potted any of them up?
Yeah, they went into the root riots. You know, the pack of 24.
Yeah.
They went into
I'm
the
not
root
a big
riots.
fan of them, to be honest with you, because if there's a slight hole in the bag, you can find that they're just all just bone dry inside. Bone dry and just crap.
They go
but
dry
in all
very
honesty,
quickly.
if they are like still in a good condition, I suppose they can be quite good, but they're quite expensive, aren't they?
Yeah, it's from us, the £7.50 for a tray of 24.
Yeah, it's that.
They come pre-moistened, which is, I think, is
it
bit
does
quicker
my
for
head
some
in a
people.
bit. I just prefer the Jiffies or the
rock
Rockwalls.
walls.
They're aimed at a beginner, that kind of product. If I'm
Yeah.
honest. Somebody who's not that comfortable with popping seeds. It's probably aimed at them, you know.
A good point to make with the Jiffies, I actually mentioned this on the Giant Vegetable website a few days ago because their experiment with Jiffies is to pH. The Jiffies can come quite alkaline in the very nature of the rock wool, so we soak them in pH 5.5 water first, leave them in there for 24 hours, take them out, and then instead of squeezing the water out of the rock walls, we actually, like Thomas said before, we flick them, keep holding them in the hand and just flick the excess water out. That way you don't damage the structure of the rock wall and it creates loads of air spaces with it. So it's a little top tip for popping seeds in rock wool, or even doing anything in rock wool. Don't crush the water out, flick the water out, and remember to pH down to 5.5 because they're quite alkaline in nature. Most people will just put them in soil.
To be honest, I think a lot of people have got loads of little different tricks and tips what they do.
If it works for you, keep on.
If anyone has got any little tips for us or any ways that they do and we haven't mentioned, let us know, because we love to find out new stuff.
Of course. Number one rule, though, whenever you're popping your seedlings, always keep the humidity high. It's very important. What's not so important is whether you have your lights on or your lights off. A lot of seeds don't necessarily need light to pop. They just need a really warm, humid, moist environment. Seed soaks up the water, ready to crack on. Moving on to cuttings. Some people might not.
Cuttings/clones.
Yeah, some people might not want to do them from seeds. They might have had this F1 type of variety of chilli or tomato or pumpkin, and they might not want to take
Busy Lizzie.
Yeah, Busy Lizzies. They're your favourite flower.
My ma is champ at Busy Lizzie cuttings. We used to have every window ledge in ours littered with them. Busy Lizzies everywhere. I don't think we ever actually had a full Busy Lizzie plant. We just had cuttings everywhere. And what the score was, I want to ask her about that when I get home after. Hey Ma, what was the score with the bloody Busy Lizzies?
What was your techniques?
Yeah, and where did you get them from? Because I've never seen a bloody plant anywhere.
Where was the mother plant?
Yeah, well, what she used to do, she used to take cuttings and get a simple, one of them just tall glasses that you'd have a drink of water out of, that most people have in their kitchen. And she'd fill it half up with water, and she'd take the cutting, bang, straight into the water, leave it on the window ledge for a few days. Then after, I think it'd take a little bit of a while though, to be honest. I think I don't know, I think they just do it always on the window ledge forever. Just growing out of these glasses. But after about 7 or 10 days, you'd then start to see roots, and they'd be submerged in the water as well.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting looking back at that now, at what we do, and how advanced we are, and looking at that. I'd love to go back in time and go, yeah, man, what you need is the IWS system here. We'll throw it on the window ledge. And
some bit of clothing, scalpel. Yeah. So for the people that do take the cuttings, you'd either have mother plants. To be honest, you'll need mother plants. You'll need your mother stock that you know has got the good genes, the good genetics, and that you know what produce you get at the end of them. My technique for taking cuttings, fresh scalpel every time, so you're not introducing any bad bacteria or anything negative into the environment or to the plant, because you're essentially creating an open wound within the plant. Sap can come out, so we take them at 45-degree angles. That way, 2 reasons: when you dip your cutting into the clonix, there's a bigger surface area for the clonix to attach onto, and when you take it at a 45-degree angle from the mother plant, it allows the sap to run off rather than being stagnant at the end. With the sap, attracts pests can get mould and fungus and diseases into the plant, so we take them at a 45-degree angle. Allows less chance of getting disease and infection. Now some people might do this, some people might not. Taking your scalpel and taking the thinnest layer, the epidermal layer,
a lot of people do. I don't
off
do
the
that
cotton.
myself.
What it does is it means that the roots have got a higher chance of a better strike rate. The roots don't come out the tip. Roots come out the side, so when you take off the epidermal layer with your scalpel, you must take off half a mil.
Epidermal layer?
Do you like that? He's been doing some reading, haven't he?
He's off now, watch.
It just means a better strike rate, that's what I've found anyway. And then dip in your clonix or other variety of rooting gel. I've heard Spit works. Did you know that?
Spit works?
Spit.
Is that where they ride skateboards?
Spit works for a lot of things. Nice lubricants.
For the plants, are we still talking about plants?
Just when you're trying to put any of your systems together. Well, we've seen on the multi-flow, have you seen the...
we actually provide a bottle of slip it in.
Yeah, a bottle of lubricant. And I'll never forget the first day, a long time ago when we first started stocking the product, when we just opened the store, obviously. And we received our pallet of multi-flow systems, and I was excited. And they'd sent me a display one, so obviously there I am in me 2.4 by 1.2 setting up this 8-pot multi-flow system. I'm trying to put these pots in, and then I looked amongst the kit, and there's this small little bottle, little squeezy bottle with a little nipple on the end of it, and branded on the bottle is a marking saying "slip it in," and it didn't half tickle me that. It still tickles me to this day, you know what I mean? So top marks through whoever thought to put that on, but it doesn't half make everything a lot more easier to get into them tight nooks and crannies.
Yeah, the grommets are basically impossible to get the pipework into without some kind of lubricant, and we found Slip It In, as you rightly called it, to be the best version of lubricant available.
Good stuff. Back to the cuttings, you anyway, filthy animals.
I know, sorry.
Where were we up to? You've lost me train of thought.
We was talking about lubricant, spit, and Clonix.
Clonix.
And why spit is also good.
Yeah, you've reminded me. As a rooting agent.
Yes.
Well, I've never tried it. It was just in... Whose book was it? It was in one of the horticultural books I'd read. Something to do with the enzymes and the amino acids within spit.
So basically what we're trying to say is that if you take a cutting or clone and then put it in your mouth and put some spit on the end of it, it will help.
It will work better than just plain water by itself.
Yeah, and it will help the roots establish.
Yeah, a bit more cleaner than saliva is willow tree. So you'll take a new fresh...
This is one of Stephen's favourites he loves to mention. I knew you was going to mention
this
one. Yeah. He always does every time we talk about rooting hormones.
The willow tree plant, take the new cuttings of a branch and soak them in water for about 24 to
Off a
36
willow
hours.
tree?
Off a willow tree, yeah. Take the branch, and the sap of the willow tree acts as a really good rooting agent. So I know the giant veg guys are going to be trying that out soon. Kevin 40 is trying some Clonex and some saliva maybe on my advice, and he's going to try some willow tree stuff as well. So moving on to young plants. You've taken your cuttings, you've popped your seeds, you're giving it a week.
What do you mean young plants though? Aren't all plants just the same?
No, we have different ages of plants.
Really? Not according to some customers that come in our shop.
Oh no, they're all the same. They all need to be fed the same. All need to be watered the same amount of water. They all need exactly the same environment. No, they all have different requirements based upon their age.
You know, see that alone. No once you understand that, that's when the penny drops. I.e., life as a grower, cultivator becomes easy because you start to understand that a plant has a life, like we have a life, and it needs to establish its growth through different periods, and you need to understand that as a different dietary plan from when it starts to when it matures.
We explain to our customers, don't we?
Talk as well. I've just remembered something about dietary plan. We're going to just briefly talk about the light diet plan as well, especially while Jay's here, because he's sitting here not saying much. So I'm going to get him right involved, and it's something that's good and on point. So go on, carry on. Sorry, Stephen.
Well, what we always say to our customers is treat your plants like a person. So the easiest example to talk about is when you give your plants the amount of nutrients. It's A and B, it's base nutrients. And people think, I've got my young plant, it's about 10 inches tall, and I'm going to give it 40 mil of A, 40 mil of B, if we were talking about something like CANNA A and B. I use CANNA because the worldwide, everybody knows them, and it's dead easy to use. So I'll continue to talk about CANNA's A and B. So using CANNA's A and B, 40 mil of A, 40 mil of B, when they're young, they grow.
Still babies?
Still babies, yeah. So 4 weeks later, what are you using? 40 mil of A, 40 mil of B.
But now the plant's grown up a bit now.
Yeah, and then you get to the peak of growth, maybe week 4 or 5 of flower. What are you using? 40 mil of A, 40 mil of B. Okay, now you're about to flush. You're 1 week from flushing. I don't like to call it flush. I like to call it finishing your plant. So you're a week from finishing your plant. What are you using? 40 mil of A, 40 mil of B. That just makes no sense. Now I say to them, this is when the penny drops for the customers in the shop. Do you know any young babies or old parents? Yeah. Would you give a brand new toddler, would you give them a full roast dinner? No. Would you give your nan and granddad, would you give them full roast dinners? They probably wouldn't eat it now. Exactly.
Or would you give your nan and granddad a little tin of baby food? Saying that, they probably would eat that. They've got no teeth. Hey, they've all got fault. Sorry, nan and granddad.
Well, the babies tend to have baby food.
Yeah.
Which is right for them at their time of growth. Us three, peak of our growth.
Yeah.
Full roast dinners
all day
every
long.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, with dessert.
And I put a bet on that our nan and granddads used to just enjoy a nice cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yeah.
A penguin.
Yeah.
Because different stages of growth
require different amounts of nutrition.
Exactly. That's exactly the same for plants. New plants need baby food. You can get pretty good custom made young plant food. Peak growth, as getting to the end of veg, beginning of flower, peak flower, you're giving them the most. And at the end of flowering, towards the finishing stage, the flushing stage, you come off the nutrients because the plant does not want to eat as much.
I'm going to complicate this a little bit further.
Let's go.
So we're talking about nutrients here,
yeah,
in essence, and we're talking about feeding a plant. Now people get confused by the word feeding a plant. Now feeding a plant can mean feeding it water, or feeding it water with nutrient level inside of it. And then we're talking about how much nutrient is in
the water.
But then we also have, hand in hand with that, is how much water, how much liquid are we going to put to this plant?
Exactly.
The amount of solution. So when you think about it, it's quite complicated just in them 3 little elements.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand that there's baby plants, junior plants, teenager plants, then adults, and then our fogies like Jay, do you know what I mean? We were writ off.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, she's married, isn't he? So that's what happens. And then old people, the plant is the same.
Yeah.
So when you start, it's a common thing I see all the time, and that's why I always harp on about it. Customers come in, they've got these plants, and they're giving them 10 litres of water, and they're no bigger than the palm of your hand. but trying to give them 10 litres of water all the way through the life, it's just so wrong, it's just unbelievable. And then they're given the same amount of nutrient level all the way through, and some of them don't even give just water periods, they just give nutrient. So just in that aspect alone, if you're not aware of what we're talking about, you really need to get onto it, because it's very, very, very important.
They say that the vegetative stage of growth, by the end of veg, when you come to flower your plants, it's already predisposed, the yield that you will get in flowering. You set yourself up, you build the foundations, and you get your yield. The plant knows what it's going to yield you by the end of its vegetative cycle. So something I believe in as well. Now, you say how much water. When you, let's say for example, we bottom feed or you top feed, how do we know how much water to give each plant? Now, this is one of the advantages of bottom feeding in single trays. You bottom feed in single trays, you're giving your 10 plants. Are they all the same?
Well, because it can be a bit of a tough question, that one. How much water, solution, nutrient do you give to your plant? First of all, you need to learn to understand your plant. You need to know how to talk to your plant and how to respond when it talks to you. I.e., by what it does and how it reacts through certain things. Now, when it's a small plant and you're bottom feeding, you give it a small amount of water with maybe a bit of EC and whatever. And if you put it to the bottom, you'd look at it, and if that water still remained there for 6 or 7 hours, you'd know you've given it too much too soon, because it wasn't capable of absorbing it and utilising it into energy. So then you'd remove that anyway. And then the next time you'd try maybe just a fraction of that, and you'd watch. And after maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, that water's absorbed. Plant's looking a lot healthier now, looking a lot better. Thinking, okay, I'm starting to understand this plant now. Next time I give it a little bit more, and a little bit more solution, not just EC.
Yeah.
Because you need to understand the levels of EC required.
Can I butt in for 2 seconds?
Yeah, go for it.
Remember, levels of EC required, because it's many people from around the world listening. We have EC, stands for electrical conductivity.
Yeah.
Other people may be familiar with ppm, parts per million. There's 2 different scales of ppm, which is really confusing. 500 ppm, 700 ppm. They're used as the base ppms. These are guys, this is for the listeners in America. You will know your own scales. Get the conversion charts. We mostly talk about EC in the UK, but you've got 500 ppm, 700 ppm, and you also have some people who use millisiemens. Different types of ways of measuring the amount of nutrients in your solution. Use what's comfortable for you. If you want to convey what we talk about EC, just download the chart on Google Images. Sorry to butt in.
Thank you for that, Stephen. So, varied EC levels. What I mean by this is, so in a rough nutshell, small plants only require a low level of EC, maybe 0.2 to 0.6. As the plant matures, you're going to slowly raise that, but you're going to try and increase the solution level, because you want to try and train your plant to absorb as much as you can without hindering it at the same time. That's the key. And you watch your plant and you look for that and you respond with it. So if you put too much in one time, take it back out, and maybe the next time, and then the plant will respond simply by either looking healthy and very well, or looking really crap and shite, and maybe even dying, or getting pest disease and whatever. It becomes a learning process. If you haven't grown any plants before, you're going to spend a while doing these little bits and bobs, because it does take a long time. It's took me a long time. I'm sure it took you a long time, Jay.
Yeah, it's not something you can learn overnight.
No. But if you're keen and you're interested and you love what you do, it'll be a journey that you'll enjoy, and it'll be very rewarding as well.
I'll also say it's not one of the things that you can learn in a book. There's a lot of things you can learn in a book. Yeah. Certain aspects of grown plants you can't learn in a book. Just get out there.
Well, get a pot to be honest with you, Stephen, when you started at MPK.
My journey.
Your journey.
Yeah.
You started your journey in books, didn't you?
I did.
And then we got the allotment and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? What was that like for you? Because I started as a grower, growing, actual hands-on growing.
And I started just with theory.
Yeah. What was that like, converting that?
Enjoyable. I speak as personal experience. I found it enjoyable. I love books. I love reading. I love knowledge. Doesn't matter what type of knowledge. I got given the opportunity, though, to turn this theoretical knowledge into hands-on knowledge.
Yeah, here's what I want to ask you. Okay, so I've been playing Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
On this PC thing, lad, I'm a jockey on it. I can smoke everyone on it. I can do loop-the-loops. I can land it in Manny Airport, London, and Luton. That little mad strip, lad, I can do everything. Do you reckon I can get in this thing and do this for real?
No.
But my question to you is, you read all your shit in the book.
Yeah.
When you walked into the polytunnel and picked up your shit and looked at the stuff and thought, right, did it work exactly how you wanted it to work?
No. Not a chance. No. Everything. Now, I always big up books and always big up knowledge, but during them first few years, I did not turn to Thomas a lot because he had the practical experience. You can read as many books as you want, but I guarantee you, you know, when you get that fungus gnat in the bottom of your AutoPot and you've read it 6 months ago, that bit of knowledge just doesn't come to your brain just when you need it to. You go, T, fungus gnats, what are we doing, bro? He's going, turn the tap off, let the plant go dry. That will suffocate them and they won't be able to survive. I go, yeah, I remember now, I remember. And I'll then go, they can't survive because of this, this and this, and go into all the detail, which some people like. But to get that knowledge, practical knowledge is the quickest way of learning, definitely. 100%.
But also,
like a married couple, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get on better.
Yeah.
Can you vouch for that?
For which?
Married couples getting on.
Yeah.
He's got to watch what I say in
recently married,
case
so I can
Mrs.
vouch
listens
for
to
that
this
fact
later.
that, we get on great. No, we're married.
It's good partnership.
It is, fantastic.
She wouldn't let
She'd
him get
be
out
better
of
now
it.
we're married, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I know, I've seen less lashes on his back now.
Stephen's only asking that because he's
Fucking
very
terrified.
scared for his own safety at the moment in terms of marriage.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, moving on. So, yeah, plant-centred feeding and EC, very important to monitor your plants, watch your plants, and give them what they need. I had a very interesting conversation with Peter Claussen on Wednesday. We had the CANNA event at NPK Team. He's a big fan of top feeding. He truly believes it's the best way of feeding a plant. But then I said to him that a lot of the people that are growing plants may be in the early stages of their horticultural careers, and when they think about top feeding, they get a bucket of 2 litres, 3 litres of water, and they just pour it on the plant. It goes, ooh, no. Top feeding is about caressing the water onto the top of the plant, dripping it. That way you don't compress the top of the cocoa. He truly believed that top feeding was the best method of feeding a plant. But he did say it has many disadvantages of top feeding. He said bottom feeding, he really doesn't like it. However, it has many advantages. So he said, you have to do what is right for you. Very interesting guy. Peter wants to come on the podcast in the next few months because he is wounded that CANNA got took off the top most downloaded podcast.
Oh, well, by me and Stephen.
Science versus Skeptic.
Yeah,
You've
looks
all
like we kicked ass.
Yeah, you all seem to have loved that one, so we'll be back soon with another Science versus Skeptic. Thomas and Jay will be the Skeptics.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to that one. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're gonna tell you scientists how it gets down.
And us scientists are going to grill you and say, listen, research is the only way.
Which come first, the chicken or the egg? Which come first, the skeptic or the scientist?
I can actually tell you that the chicken came first.
How do you know?
Because of evolution and evidence.
Don't start coming to me with all this crap that you've read in the book that you've just said that was wrong.
You don't know.
Yeah,
Real
you
simple.
know.
Well, anthropologists and paleontologists will beg to differ. They have found...
But I don't know him.
He just throws out big words that we
Yeah,
don't understand.
so tell him to beat it.
And they believe that the chicken came first. So there.
Well, I don't care what he believes. You know, it had to come out of something. So
It did. The chicken.
The egg.
The chicken. And
No,
the chicken.
chickens come from eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah, but there's a bit of evolution's gone on.
Yeah,
And
the
chicken
egg evolved out of bacteria.
Not quite like that, but we'll leave this for a separate discussion. Hey, let me finish the book and read, and then we'll talk about a bit more
Go on,
about
anyway.
evolution. Young plants, what humidity would you have?
High.
70%? 65%?
That's a minimum 70%.
70 to
Looking to
90.
do 70 to 90, 95%.
Yeah. So to 20% in between.
Yeah,
there, so.
a lot of people actually disagree with me on this one. They think about 60 to 50% humidity.
Nah.
I've seen,
In practical terms, they always do better.
Well, have a go with our. Have a go. Have a try
yeah.
with our recommended. No, I'm
Oh,
saying
yeah.
to our listeners,
Okay.
have a go with our recommended between 70 and 90. I'd say I like it about 85, me.
Yeah.
And you'll watch the speed of growth enhance.
I've seen it before in my eyes.
Yeah.
I've said to you, going back to my early career in horticulture, I've said to Thomas, listen, look at these plants, they're just not moving. We're giving them everything right, they're just not moving. He said, put a dome over them. What happened? Flew up in the next 2 days.
Well, you know, there's science versus skeptic, innit, mate? You know.
That's why
bloody scallywags.
That's why we supply domes with the multi-flow, because the ability to increase...
Because I was sick of selling half-cut Coke bottles.
Yeah.
To the customers.
Yeah.
I was going to the bottle bank and sticking my arm in the bottle bank and pulling all the plastic bottles out.
Not a good pastime.
So highlight, I've
made a killing out of it. We sold them £4.50 each, like your domes.
So young plants, you want to keep them high humidity because they obviously can't drink as much through their young roots, and they need a lot of looking after. They're like young people. They need a lot of tender love and care and attention. Look after them now and they'll look after you at the end. Mid-sized plants. Mid-sized plants, we're talking the end of vegetative growth.
Beginning of flower.
And when you're trying to make the decision whether to turn them onto a different light schedule or not for indoor.
A difficult time.
Yeah.
Humidity, do we drop it off a little bit because it's established its root
system?
Yeah,
it's the plant starting to establish and it's creating more humidity within itself.
That's a key thing that you mentioned there, Thomas. I think it's wise to let the listeners know that that's a really, really key thing. You find yourself driving your humidity up whilst you've got small clones or seedlings in your grow room, which is correct. But then, obviously, the bigger the plants become, the more they precipitate themselves, which really drastically increases your humidity, and you can end up with a really too high humidity environment. The mid stages quite easily.
Yeah, and that way you'd want to be turning up. You're starting to think about turning up.
So you get hold of your steering wheel, one of your 10 steering wheels that kind of constantly reminding us of, and we're always harping on about. And you get one of them steering wheels and you turn it into the right direction because you're now moving into a different place. You're going round a different corner now, and you need to adjust this steering wheel so we're still on a nice smooth path to success.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to veer off the road like Jay on the bike tour that we're going to mention in a minute, and we will tell you about that in a minute.
Well, yeah, we're going to take a half-time break and talk about the MCBT bike tour. But to finish off the mid-sized plants, what I would like to say is any problems you encounter during veg, you can correct when it's in veg. What you've got to be very careful of is that when you turn them into flower, it's the runway is in sight and you're on your way down, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you get problems in flower, you've got to do your best to try and rectify them.
Yeah, that's why it's key to make sure that you prepare your plant, that it's healthy and stable to go on to its second stage of life without any problems whatsoever. If you get your plant and it's not looking so healthy, it looks a bit rough around the edges, looks like it's had a dog's dinner and it's been out the night before still, do you know what I mean? Well, you know, it's not going to be good to start encouraging that plant to move into a different era where it's going to want to evolve and you're going to want it to become really successful. It's not going to happen if it's off to a bad start.
Well, turning the plant into a flowering cycle and changing the light and the amount of light that you give it's quite stressful to a plant, believe it or not. So you don't want to take it from a stressful environment, potentially stressful environment in veg, and then just putting it through another stressful environment. So you mature veg plants just before you flick them. We call it flicking. Is that a Scouse term? Is that a Liverpool term?
It is very much a Scouse term, yeah.
So when I say flick them, what I mean is turn the light cycle from an 18-hour light cycle to a 12-hour light cycle, and that we start to produce flowers then. But that's we're getting into next week's podcast when we talk about flowering. Mature plants, end of veg. When do we turn the plants over to flowering?
When the plant is established enough and looks prepared to do its next stage.
When it's ready to sustain the rigours of flower. Don't forget, when you're demanding your plant to produce flowers by changing the light schedule, it's got to be ready for that in terms of its size and structure.
Yeah.
You've got to envisage your plant with a fair amount of fruit on the structure and whether it can bear that weight and whether it looks healthy enough to move into that flowering phase.
Yeah, and obviously when you veg for longer, you're more likely to get a bigger yield, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
More stems. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a half-time break here. We want to talk a little bit about the MCBT that Jay partook in last week.
Okay. Yeah, it was, yeah. MCBT bike tour from Kranjska Gora in Slovenia to Bologna in Italy. 420 kilometres in 24 hours. a charity ride. 77 of us took part in the ride, and it was for research into alternative methods of treating cancer. If you want to have a look on the website, the MCBT Bike Tour 2016, I'm sure you'll find out more information about that. But yeah,
But that's crap. What I really want to talk about is, tell us about the crash.
yeah, I crashed and came off my bike 45 kilometres into the second day.
Did we get it on video? No.
Unfortunately not.
Oh, lad, I would have paid for that video, you know, bro. Swear to
My
God.
cycling partner had a GoPro attached to the front of his bike, but he was in front of me at the time of the crash, which is unfortunate for all.
So how long was the trip over?
It took place over 3 days, the actual bike tour, but we basically spent a week there because you got to prepare and then recover afterwards. Before
Preparing meaning, I saw the picture, Jay.
Yeah.
You can't fool the listeners. Preparing mean sitting in a jacuzzi looking at the gorgeous Alp background.
Yeah, well, in the alpine environment, you've got to prepare your muscles for what you're about to
I am
undertake,
jealous.
and,
I am jealous. It looked
yeah.
amazing. You showed me some of the pictures, and to be honest, it looked absolutely.
It was unbelievable,
fabulous.
really. For anybody who's considering taking part in next year's event, I just can't.
So this
put
is
into words.
what? So this is an event open to public people.
Absolutely, it's open to anybody who feels the
Worldwide?
need to support us globally. Yeah,
Global?
This year we had riders from all over the globe. We had riders from Mexico, all over Europe, Holland, Germany, France, the UK, obviously.
How
us,
many
Team
riders
GB.
was there in total? Do you know?
70 riders.
70.
Yeah,
How much did he raise?
€360,000.
That's a lot.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, people have to start listening when you've got that kind of money, and they have to take you seriously.
Is this go on every year?
It does. It's
How long's it been running?
It's the 4th year. It's the first year I've taken part, but it's the 4th year that the event's been running. So
Do you think next year we could do a podcast while cycling? I think the first ever
If
podcast.
you do the peddling.
if it's anything like this year's event, I can assure you, boys, you'll be in no condition to podcast after you've done the day's ride. It is tough.
Yeah, I'll cycle
but,
on me Ducati.
Well, if-
You're welcome, Thomas. We'd like you there as a support rider. I've told you this.
I know, I might get there.
Well, if anybody, we could do a podcast titled Heavy Breathing. If anyone likes listening to heavy breathing, we'll do a podcast
Yeah.
for 4 hours, just heavy
There's
breathing.
plenty of that, yeah, plenty of that. No, but really, it's a just unbelievable camaraderie, atmosphere and spirit on the ride. So for anyone that's considering it, I can highly recommend it. And if you're a bit nervous or apprehensive about your level of fitness or whatever, don't worry, it really is open to all abilities and ages. We had a lady of 77 years of age completed the ride with us this year, which was just unbelievable.
Was she on the motorbike?
No, she actually rode the whole thing on a mountain bike, which is
No, I
unbelievable.
did actually see the pictures. Hats off. Absolutely amazing.
That is an achievement, isn't it? So, for
is.
all the listeners, you have a year, because Jay's only got back 2 weeks ago.
I actually got back on Monday because I had the pleasure of driving home from Bologna in Italy, which took a couple of days. So yeah,
So you have a year to practice,
Yeah.
and get your fitness up, and come and join the MCBT bike tour. And
Absolutely.
get involved.
Be
Let's
great to have
let's
you.
double the numbers. Let's get it
And
to
that
140
goes for all of
cyclists.
you guys out there in the US, all over there.
Yeah,
if
we
you're
had-
sitting there on your couch and you're thinking, what the hell are these guys talking about? Go on to
MCBT Bike Tour is the webpage for it. You'll find it quite easily if you're struggling, and I'm sure if you give the lads at MPK a call, they'll direct you.
and you can go on a bike tour too, pal.
Yeah.
That was my American advert
Is that-
accent.
That sounds deep south.
We had a Canadian on the ride this year. I'm not sure we had any
Yeah.
Americans, but yeah. Be
Well,
nice
yeah,
to have
any of
some
you guys out there
gents from the US.
who want to go, it's a global event, and there was a lot of different countries there, wasn't there?
There was, yeah, a lot of different nationalities.
Nationalities, sorry.
Just getting to cycle in the Alps is
Yeah.
brilliant by itself.
Yeah.
The pictures look amazing.
Riding a
They
bike
really
in the
do.
Alps is probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life, to be fair.
Awesome. Now, second half of the half-time break, we wanted to ask Jay about the new Solistech A1s that have come into Highlight Horticulture.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk too much about them because we are going to get Richard down, aren't we?
We are at some point
do
going
a
to get the
full
expert down.
But
in-depth
I
podcast.
wanted to just briefly talk about the light diet, what we mentioned earlier
I think
on.
the light diet's the important thing, aside from product. I think the light diet's the important thing to talk about because it's a massive step forward in terms of what we do. So yeah, the light diet is basically, if you consider the way we spoke about a minute ago, you change your nutrient schedule for different stages, various different stages of your plant's life. It kind of makes sense that you should and you need to do that with your lighting.
But why would you have to do that with lighting? The sun in the sky is just the
If you can-
same all the time, isn't it?
Is it though?
this is the big
Well,
thing.
it's
If
there
you
in
can
the
imagine,
sky, isn't he?
I think you're playing the Skeptic a bit too well, aren't
Maybe
you?
I am. Maybe I am. You know.
no, if you can imagine the different times of year, the sun's at different positions in the sky, which
Is
creates
that
different
something to do
levels.
with like sometimes it's like dark and it's 7 o'clock, and sometimes it's dark and it's 10 o'clock?
Yeah, basically, yeah, in a nutshell. And of course, if the higher you are in,
I thought that was
altitude-
just all to do with you changing your watch. Nothing to do with the sun, that.
Yeah. No, it's different. It's different levels of UVA and UVB because of the sun being in a different position. In the
Nah,
sky.
you know, if I get me watch, and change it an hour forward,
Yeah.
it changes outside.
And you
In
forget
Taurus
to
as
come
well.
to work at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
No, what Jay's trying to say as well is the position, the tilt of the Earth, that the light actually has to travel further to hit you at different parts of the world. So the spectrum changes. Red light travels faster than blue light.
And that's
So
why we
get-
see different colours of light.
Yeah.
And there's nice skies and pinky coloured skies,
That's
maybe. And
There's a lot of things that affect the type and intensity of light
Yeah.
that your plants are actually subjected to in the natural environment. And obviously we're trying to replicate that indoors as best we can. And we've always been happy to use lighting which kind of does a good job right across the board, which for years has been acceptable. And we've achieved some great results with it, as you've quite rightly spoken about in the past. But
I
as
think
things evolve, we've got to look
move
at
forward with the
yeah,
times.
look at things with a bit more scrutiny and consider the fact that they do get different types of light at different times of the year.
I think it's a very good idea. It's something I agree with, because
Yeah.
obviously our planet and solar system and everything that's created, you know, everybody who listens to our podcast knows how much me and Stephen love the planet that lets us sit on it for a little while. And every day it amazes me, whether it looking at the rain beating down as faster than you can look at it, you know what I mean, or no matter whatever it is, it always has its own explanation and it has its own reason for doing everything. A perfect equilibrium.
Yeah.
It's a word that I always remember from university. It's a word that I really love as well, because I understand what it means. Yeah, I think that's what it was, sorry.
I think we're going to look back in, let's say, 5 years' time in Britain, and we're going to think, oh my God, can you remember when we just used one light bulb to grow our plants
Yeah, I believe
indoors?
that.
And we're going to look back and go, can't believe that.
Yeah.
We were so silly just to use one light bulb.
Because when you think about how complicated the sun is and the rays that it emits and stuff like that, we're trying to copy it with this element.
Yeah, light nutrition, light diet. Well, the advanced growers at the moment might be using 2 bulbs. Metal halide during the veg stages keeps them nice, short and compact. And then they're going to change over to the dual spectrum HBS for flowering, because there's more red in there, produce more flowers.
It's an interesting, really interesting bit of technology for me. It's something I'm keen to investigate, because it's something that we've talked about and discussed, and especially when you've been talking to Theo and whatnot about different stuff at Gavita, and then you've been speaking to the guys at Solace Tech who've just come in with this type of stuff, and it's something that I believe is needed and is actual. Whether we're going to get it all spot on straight away, I don't know, you know, but it's going to be enjoyable trying.
I think there's a tidal wave of new technology coming into lighting. Lighting's been very stagnant, in my opinion. In the UK, we're still on magnetic ballasts, believe it or not. The majority of the people indoors. In America, the majority, believe it or not, have moved on to digital. But it's been pretty stagnant. 600 watt bulbs, dim them down if you're a bit too hot. Magnetic ballast in the UK, you just got boring. I do believe there's a change is coming. Solostech are bringing about a change. Gavita, I believe, will be changing a lot of things in the coming years.
You know what though, Steve? You know what we are, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what we do, don't you? And we'll tell people secrets that we're not supposed to know. So shall we tell the people a secret that they're not supposed to know?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Apparently, Gavita have been sold.
Sold, or a majority shares been sold.
Majority shares. This is a rumour. If you'd like to let me know, Jair, please give me a call, mate. I don't know. Nevertheless,
heard it through the grapevine.
I want love to be mine. Yeah, heard through the grapevine. How about love want to be mine? Yeah.
I think you need to Change careers into the
Well, you know,
vocal
I told you,
theatre.
you know, Hollywood wanted me. But, you know, I wanted to stay here with the boys and do a real job, proper job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Gavita apparently are getting...
selling some of their shares to somebody else.
Yeah.
Do we think it will make a change to Gavita?
Who are they selling them to? I've heard big rumours going on, like Monsanto,
or the people who own GHE?
Yeah, GHE. And I've heard of a conspiracy going on, and all sorts of goings on in here. So, you know, it's interesting. We will find out.
Let's see what happens.
We could be wrong.
I think it could be.
We might haven't a clue what we're talking about.
Could be just
Me
a
and you
rumour.
could be talking a load of shite here, Stephen.
But we were planning on doing a podcast, weren't we? Rumours podcast. So
The rumours.
We're just gonna instead of just doing one podcast on rumours, I think we'll just drop in.
I need to watch out here though, because we'll get people doing rumours podcast about us, and they'll find out that I'm fucking really a fucking psychotic, fucking on the run from Slovenia or something mad like that.
Do you want to drop in? What's another rumour? Let's talk about. We're going off on tangent here, but what's another rumour? I've heard that Nutriculture are buying Maxi Bright. Rumours.
I've heard that one for a while.
Have you?
Whether these are rumours, wild tales, or don't know.
I
We like to get them out on the podcast, because you know why I like to get it out? Because people doesn't like to talk about shit like this, because they're scared of what people might say. I'm not really bothered, you know, it's our industry. We sell this shit. We market this shit. We have a right to know what the fuck is going on for our customers. So, if you have got a cob on with everything I say, or anything me and Stephen bring up, tough fucking shit, because I don't care. We're here for our customers, and our customers' benefits only. So, if you find that a problem, www.gofuckyourself.com.
No, you can actually call us.
Yeah, you can call us and say what you want, because I'm not asked.
Just don't fucking fanny about on
Yeah,
Facebook
but
talking.
we just want to know what's going on.
We want to know, are the rumours true?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Onwards and upwards. And hopefully, you know, when companies merge and do different things, it's never for the worst neither. So
No,
that's
it isn't.
one thing I want to point out to you.
I can tell you a rumour that is true.
What?
The version 3 of the multi-flow is actually
lad,
available.
come on.
From
You've
Friday.
just killed yourself off here, lad.
From
fucking
Friday.
hell. He's saying, right, what's going on here? He's been promising me for fucking ages.
Since
This has gone explicit, this now, because since Barcelona, he's been promising me the V3 multi-flow system. How long ago was that? March.
The 14th March.
But, you know what though? He was promising us before then. So you've had us waiting a long time here.
Listen,
the customers
Apple do the same thing, don't
fuming. Aren't you fuming, customers? Yeah. See? Do you know what I mean?
How many times have Apple promised you a product like the iPhone 5S or the iPhone 6 or the iPhone?
And they deliver? I've got one, look.
There's always a delay
Nah.
That's
to
strategic.
build the anticipation of such a
Yeah, but we're not
significant
waiting for the
launch.
iPhone 6S, we're waiting for the
No,
V3.
it's better than that. The V3 multi-flow.
Why can you make calls on it?
Internet.
It's got a built-in iPad.
Nice. The V3, to be fair to you, no. Imagine if Highlight released the V3 and it wasn't quite right. There'd be a lot of pissed off people. Systems would be getting recalled.
Hey, you know what though? They're making a rod for their own back here. We've got them in the final line here. You're getting it now, lad. Right, they're making a rod for their own back, because you know when they bring this system out, it best not have a single fault, because I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Because it's got to be the mother of all systems. But in all fairness, I rate the V2, so I'm excited. That's why I'm so excited right now. And me temperature levels
The good thing
risen a
about
bit,
it is we've taken nothing away from the V2. It's still, in essence, a V2.
and
Some significant
I'm
improvements.
going to tell you straight now, customers, our listeners, to all our people, our family, to everyone who's listening, what I did actually do is me and Stephen paid a visit to see what these guys were up to see whether these were pulling my chain. Now, I know you guys in the US, just to go to your local shop, you'd have to drive 5 hours, but in this little island we live in, everything's pretty close. So if we have to drive 5 hours, that's a big deal, man. So these guys, their drive's about 4.5 hours, is it, Stephen?
No, 3 hours, wasn't
3.5 hours.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
long. But after we stopped and got accosted and all that, it was about 4 hours, really.
Other coffees.
So we've
available.
decided, we've got in the car, we're going to go and see our guys and see what the hell's going on with this system. So, good enough, we went down there and they took us into their research and development department.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
It was massive.
Yeah.
There's loads of shit going on.
Yeah, loads of shit. Loads of good shit for me to see and check on what yous are doing. And they are doing what they are saying they're doing. There's wires everywhere. There's fucking components everywhere.
Yeah,
and
basically, I'm trying to break the V3 at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we've got to do that on behalf of...
I wondered why Peter was jumping up and down on the pots.
Yeah, I've told him about that. He insists on it.
so yous are doing that job like in IKEA where they've got that remote control arm and it's opening and
Yeah,
shutting
but
drawers.
unfortunately we
20
don't have a
billion.
remote control arm. We have Peter.
You just got Peter like that with his arm.
Yeah.
Filling it.
No, we're
Getting-
trying to break it genuinely because we believe it's no point in launching it until it's ready.
Yeah. Peter was there with his slipping in T-piece and a grommet, seeing how many times he could slip it in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'll get my first delivery on Friday. These have promised me. We've got it on recording here now. I've got them signed.
He actually said Wednesday.
Yeah,
Oh,
Wednesday's
did he?
being personally delivered. to
Oh,
you,
is
Thomas,
it?
yeah.
Okay. I'm excited because, as you all know, I've mentioned it in the past. I used the multi-flow for a long, long time in a very respectable, professional.
Multi-million-pound tobacco pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, and it ran without problem for just under 2 years.
I wouldn't say without problem. I think there was a couple of times when Thomas forgot to turn the tap on.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
Unfortunately, user error is something we have to
Yeah,
Yeah, I
deflect
did
a lot.
flood the gaff out.
Yeah, too interested in how the tobacco plants were doing. The tap was for.
I can imagine how you get preoccupied in a facility like that, though. It must be amazing just to wait.
Unbelievable. I tell you what, doing this job, I couldn't say thank you enough. It, every day that I get up, I love my life. It's like winning the lottery, but better, because if you just win the lottery, they just give you a load of money, don't they? You're still not complete within yourself, are you?
Mm.
When I stood in the labs and stuff like that, and Stephen was with me, we were just in awe of ourselves as well as what we were doing,
of course,
especially seeing it like in the papers and stuff like that. And it was amazing. It really was. It was really good for us, and it's led us on to bigger and better things as well. But it was a really good experience.
Space.
Yeah.
That was a really good half-time break, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Aye. Well, we've got plenty to talk about there. We've got a bit carried away. Let us finish up with we'll spend the next 15 minutes talking about still the vegetative stage, but we're going to talk about some techniques, some products, and some little bits and bobs that can help you in the vegetative stages. So, all three of us now, I want us all to pick 2 products each that we use in the vegetative stage of growth. I'll let Jay go first. Let me guess.
I'll take a wild guess at what you're going to say now.
Most recently, I've started using a product called Optic Folia.
That's funny, because when did Highlight land with Optic Folia?
We actually got UK distribution of Optic Folia a little while ago, and we've never really kind of done the product justice because...
By the way, he's not paying us. We're not getting any money. We're letting him say this because we actually are quite interested in the product, to be honest. So he's not getting any publicity. We're not marketing any products, but it's something we're interested in, so I'll let him have this one.
Yeah, Optic Folia, it's interesting and it's exciting because it's basically giving the grower the chance to embrace foliar feeding while the lights are on. That's a significant step forward in terms of foliar feeding. Yeah.
So hold on, let me get this again.
You didn't hear that wrong.
They can actually use a foliar feed while their lights are on, which is something that's obviously been impossible in the past. You've had to traditionally wait till your lights are off, then spray your plants a good amount of time before they're due to come back on.
Really? Are you supposed to switch the lights off? Is that
problem.
why they're burning?
Yeah,
Bloody hell, oh my God.
Yeah, so it's obviously exciting from that point of view. It makes it easy for everybody now to foliar feed because there's no excuse not to. Everybody always said, no, I can't be asked when the lights are off going in, all that, yada yada. Well, you can do it every time you go to your grow room now. You can foliar feed because you can do it when the lights are on.
Yeah, you had to go when the lights were off, and then you had to turn the lights on because you couldn't see what you're doing.
Yeah,
otherwise
absolutely.
you'd fall over.
To do, yeah.
So you turn the lights on when the lights are supposed to be off, and then that stresses the plant out, and then you foliar feed. But you're only done it a couple of hours before the lights come on. You turn the lights back off, and the lights come back on, and you burn the plants. It's a fucking nightmare. You had to be like, what did you have to be? Like military precision to foliar feed on time. Yeah. This was a product that I looked at the science of. I hadn't done any testing, and I thought this looks like the real deal. So we have a team of product testers. I immediately gave the product to our most cynical product tester. He rang us up the next day, didn't he?
What did he say? I mean,
He said, "See this product." Now this is a guy who usually slates every product.
Oh yeah, he's a little get.
He is. He is not very accommodating.
No,
Hey.
no.
He just likes to say, "No, shit, didn't see an improvement." So he started off the same way. He was like, "See this product you give me. You told me you could spray it on with the lights on." I said, "Yeah, go on." He said, "You can." It was brilliant.
I see. I'm good to the missed that. You know, you know him as well.
Yeah, I've seen him in the shop.
I've seen him
definitely. So yeah, it's exciting from that point of view along.
But
where's the product from as well?
It's from Canada, and recently the president of the company came over to the UK to spend some time with me on the road, visiting various shops and promoting his product, which I kind of took as a marketing exercise at first. I quickly realised it was a steep learning curve into something I knew nothing about, and that was foliar feeding. It's a fact that 5% of growers in the UK, I know it's slightly more in the US and Canada, but in the UK 5% of growers actually foliar feed. Now if you realised how important foliar feeding was, and it wasn't such a pain in the ass to do, you'd absolutely do it, because it can be responsible for 30% of your plant's growth and development. So it's exciting to know now that we can make it easy for people to embrace foliar feeding. Well, what I mean by that is they've launched a product called Transport as a part of their range. The range is very small. There's only 5 products in the range. One of them's called Transport, and it's a product you can mix with anything you currently use in terms of boosters, or whether it's a spider mite treatment, or whether it's a fungus treatment, or a powdery mildew treatment. Any of those kind of things you can mix this product with, and it enables you to use it while your lights are on. So not only does it make nutrition for your plants a lot more of an easy thing to do, it makes treating diseases and problems a lot more of an easy thing to deal with, because you don't have that time where you're easing off on your feed and that kind of thing to deal with a problem, spraying at night and all that kind of stuff. You can actually carry on giving good nutrition to your plants
through the day,
with mixed in with the product called Transport
and all kinds.
Yeah.
The importance of foliar feeding is great on this podcast because it's the stage of growth, and it's the vegetative growth. If you take one thing away from this podcast, it's start foliar feeding. If you use any product, you must do it at night. The only products you can do it during the day is with optic foliar, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
To your knowledge?
Absolutely, yeah. It would even benefit you to foliar feed just plain pH water.
Yeah.
You would see a significant improvement in the growth and development of your plant in vegetative growth.
Because it's increasing the humidity, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we're going to leave that there because we're going to talk more about that when he actually comes back to the UK.
And we'll do an actual podcast.
September, October.
We'll see how the product goes as well.
We've
got it in test, and we'll let everybody know what we think about it, really.
Well, that's optic foliar for you guys that like to be ahead of the curve and jump onto things early. What's your second product, Jay?
The other thing I'd pick would probably be Charge.
Bastard! He was fucking one of mine.
Only because I've seen it for myself. I've dug it into my garden at home, and everything is significantly improved this year on last year. And when you consider the weather cycle we've had this year, that's
good
a big
product,
claim.
cheap product as well.
Cheap, easy to use.
That's the main thing for me. It's easy to use. You just literally mix it into whatever media you're growing in, and you'll see significant.
If you haven't seen it or you haven't used it, check it out online. It's called Charge. It's by EcoThrive. We stock it. If you're not able to come to an NPK store, go to one of your other stores, and if
most grow shops across the UK seem to be stocking it now. It's that good
and have a go with it, because
isn't it beetle shit? Is it beetle shit? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Isn't it skeletons as well often?
Okay.
Well, it's the mealworms are fed on an organic diet of lettuce and cucumbers, and not cucumbers, lettuce and carrot. What they poo out contains part of their skeleton, part of the inside, and all the fermented and digested food that they eat, and that happens to be very good for plants.
Doesn't sound very nice. I wouldn't like it in my bed, but plants like it in theirs.
But for you guys in the US, I don't actually know if it's available in the US. I'm sure we could. If it's not available in the US and you wanted to try some, I'm sure we could sort out some samples. Get in touch if you're interested in it, because not many products where it just works. It just fucking works.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
one does. Now on to me. You've took my
Sorry, Stephen, if I stole your thunder with the Charge there. I think it's going to be a common choice for all of us, to be fair.
Okay.
Well,
Optic Foliar tell me that they have the best foliar feed. But for me, what I use is a product called Evolution. Now, Optic Foliar says that theirs are going to be better because they have more ingredients. But to my knowledge and to date, Evolution Spray from Nutriculture is a very, very good product.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you spray it on the vegetative stage. It just does what it says on the tin. The plant just seems to evolve in front of your very eyes. Really deep green, luscious growth. Just a great all-round product, and it gets people to foley feed, which is fantastic. Now, after struggling for that first product, about 50 products have popped into my head to use in the vegetative stage, and I don't know which to mention. We all should be using root stimulators, so use your root stimulator that works best for you. But one of the best products I've used, it's called Top Heavy Crop by Hydrotops. There we go.
We got it.
The cog's working. Top Heavy Crop by Hydrotops. It's a bacteria with a food. You bubble it up in the pot, and you feed it during the vegetative stages, and it's an absolutely brilliant product. So, Thomas, waggling your fingers doesn't help me concentrate. What are your two products? Watch how hard it is.
Simple. Take Root and Leaf Green.
Tell us about them.
Both of them, belter products.
Oh, he's Dutch Pro through and through, isn't he?
Yeah, I do like Dutch Pro.
Cut him open, he's green inside.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Take Root, use it for clones,
Yeah.
seedlings, cuttings, small plants, young plants. Leaf Green, all the same, all above, apart from flowering stage. I just use it in the grow period, and it makes my plant nice.
I'd agree with you on Leaf Green, to be fair. It is a superb product.
Good product.
Yeah, they all.
That's my two.
Okay. Now, because you're wagging your fingers at me, I know you listeners, some of you probably get bored. We're going to fly through two last little bits. Vegetative techniques. We have Fimming, Topping, LST, which is low stress training, Scrogging, and Sea of Green. I think we might dedicate a podcast to those techniques.
Yeah,
call them vegetative
that's
techniques.
a whole other category.
We won't do it justice on this podcast.
No chance.
We do need to wrap up. And then pots and growing methods. So
whole different podcast on its own. Just pots alone.
yeah, I know you love pots.
Yeah,
and
it's
all
one of my
pot-
favourite ones that I like to, because it determines plant life cycle and how long a plant is going to live in its
environment.
container.
Yeah, what we will say is that if you're still in plastic pots, you need to look up either air pots, which have the holes and look like a nice nightshade, or cloth pots, which are just phenomenally
Fabric
good.
pots.
Fabric pots,
Yeah.
yeah. Lots of companies make different varieties, but if you're still in plastic pots, please at least
You
give them a
guys in
go.
the US will be familiar with Smart Pot.
Thirsty,
From Smart Pot.
great pots.
Big shout out to you guys, me pals from Cali.
So yeah, give them a go. I wanted to give a top tip at the end for all you guys that have battled through. I wanted to give you a little top tip that I give to my customers, and it's about trimming. When to trim in the vegetative stages. So like I said, when you turn your plants into flower and you change the light schedule, that is a stressful stage. Trimming is also stressful, so make sure that you do all of your trimming at least 1 week before you flick your plants or you turn the light cycle. Then 2 weeks to 3 weeks after you've changed your plants onto 12 hours, they've done the majority of the growing. So then I will also give them a little haircut, a little bit of a trim, so that any of that stuff at the bottom that's not going to get a lot of light, you take that away, and the plant can push all of its energy towards the top half of the plant and produce good fruits and flowers.
And you could have a podcast all of its own about that subject as well.
You could. There's so much to go in
Yeah.
depth. It's hard to cover. I feel like we don't do it justice, but
No, it's like looking at an A to Z map. There's that many different routes that you can take and different avenues and different highways.
so there's some things to look forward to anyway. Vegetative trimming techniques, and that's. I hope you've taken something away from.
That's if you're still listening,
Awake.
you're still awake. That's today's podcast by myself, Stephen and Jay. Thanks for getting in there, getting your oar in there. And
Well, always a pleasure, especially when I can mention a few products here.
for anyone who liked our podcast, please let us know. For any of you
Subscribe,
guys
no?
who didn't like anything that I mentioned at the podcast, please let me know. I'll look forward to it.
After we did our big thing last week of no adverts, no subscribers, and no subscribers, that's shit. No adverts and no sponsorships, yeah. I asked you all to subscribe and to get the word out there. It definitely seems like that worked. We've had a shit ton of new subscribers and new downloads, so
thank you very much. Yeah, big thank you.
Keep up all the hard
because we
work.
just do this out of just the love of what we do.
Yeah.
It's not a paid show. It's just we take our time and we dedicate it to stuff that we believe that you want to listen to. If there's stuff that you want us to specifically bring up or talk about or investigate, if there's anything you want to find out in the hydroponics industry, that any questions or theories, or
rumours that you may want to put out there.
Rumours, we love a good rumour, we love a good yin-yang, so let us know, we love it.
Yeah, thank you for everyone that's working hard to help promote our podcast.
And for anybody who we might have pissed off,
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about the stages of growth part 2, the flowering cycle.
Ooh.
For everyone in the UK, have a great bank holiday.
Yeah.
For everyone everywhere else, just have a great weekend.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.